Alright guys, Zachman18 here. Welcome back to the WTZM TV Channel 18 Superstation. It is time to continue on our Let's Play of Apollo Justice Ace Attorney on the Nintendo DS. And so yeah, we just started the game in the last part, and this game seems really interesting, aside from the Phoenix Wright games we played, because we are now defending Phoenix Wright. I'm not sure how much in the future this is. I think they mentioned like 7 or 8 years in the future. But Phoenix Wright is the suspect in a case. It's kind of a poker kind of card game case. So turnabout Trump, we are going to be heading back into court, and hopefully maybe we can beat this first case. So here we go.
Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga Orley, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness. Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again. That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne.
Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand.
Very well. The witness will take the stand.
Perhaps you can repeat your name and profession? Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser?
Not.
Oh! What?
Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a proud dealer. People call me Olga Quickfingers Orley.
Oh, really?
Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied.
That is true. Witness, you will tell the court that you were really up to that night. What you were really up to that night.
Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences.
Fine.
Oh man, this is getting intense now.
Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy Smith hired me to do what I do best. I was planning at the Borscht Bull Club several days prior to the night of the game as a waitress.
So you were in cahoots with the victim?
Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles, but winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut.
You swapped the cards.
Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would have been a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Indeed. Getting caught red-handed cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins.
A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan.
Oh boy.
Oh really, Orley? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake.
A mistake?
I agree the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quickfingers Orley.
Oh really? The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick.
Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute, I'm bad, you hear me? Bad.
When you're through being bad, perhaps you can testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung.
Alright, here we go. The best laid traps.
That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone, the trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith, it was that no-good cheating defendant.
A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark.
The trap was perfect, I tell you, perfect. If that rotten cheater had messed it up.
Look who's talking.
Well, the testimony for what it's worth is all yours, Mr. Justice.
With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? And with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? Alright, here we go. Hold it! This planted card, which card was it exactly?
The trump card, the 5 of hearts.
Let me guess. Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend.
I slid it into Wright's pocket.
When was this?
Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating at the Borscht Bull Club, we served borscht and suckers.
Remind me never to go there.
Of course, the car was to make its grand debut during the game. And like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken.
Hold it. So everything went according to plan.
Exactly. The fifth ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud.
There are worse things to be noticed, I suppose.
Tell us what happened with the search. Hold it. The card disappeared.
Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone, without a trace. Poof, Zippo. We searched every nook and cranny, even inside his cute little hat.
But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct?
Never in my long storied career, never has Quick Fingers Orley been so readily duped.
Oh, really? So what did happen to that what did happen to that 5 of hearts?
Don't look at me, why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant?
So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action. Hold it. Hold it. Wait, isn't that a little odd?
What's odd?
You searched Mr. Wright, thoroughly and found nothing, which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim.
Well...
Whoa. Heck happened there? What was that just now? I sensed something.
Something wrong, Mr. Justice?
No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? Press her harder. Miss Orley, you're hiding something.
What are you talking about? You? Me? Quick Fingers Orley hide something?
Defense will refrain from baseless accusations. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment that defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true. I did see it. Honest. I saw it when Wright hit him.
So this is a new feature. With my own eyes, I saw it. What's this weird vibe I'm getting? That witness, for instance, Miss Orley, she would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Oh, that was Phoenix, that's right. Touching her neck, was it? Whoa! Whoa, what's going on? Whoa, it's shown on the what is going on? Oh my god! What the heck is going on? So this is on the top screen, this is on the bottom. Whoa, what's going on? Oh my god, I better zoom out for this part. Holy crap! The sensation, it's coming into focus. There, that twitch, it's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before. What? Perceive? Gotcha! Gotcha? What? Oh, this is new! I like this! Let me zoom in. Holy crap! Miss Orley, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself.
Unaware of what?
Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand.
My neck? So what?
Well, indeed, Justice. I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory when she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. Memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about?
This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us.
Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss Orley, whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an erasable impression in your neck is this. The weapon... Oh, the weapon is the bottle, so we gotta present the bottle. Take that! Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. So the reason why I knew it was going to be take that, on the bottom screen, when you hold Y, it'll tell you whether to say objection or take that. I'll show you guys next time. Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon? But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim who was hit. Not you. This is a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits, they're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment.
I am doing nothing.
We know you're not Russian.
The witness will testify, please, now.
Pah, fine.
Oh my god. Alright. Hold it! You seem uneasy.
You try sitting up here.
Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like?
Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came.
Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is... flawed or fine? It's gotta be flawed. Is basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence.
What's that?
Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony.
She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. When she got out of there. Let's go through it here. Victim's hand was left at the scene of Full House. Photo. Defendant Mr. Smith. There's no details, just the picture. Right cell phone used by the defendant to notify the police from the restaurant's first floor. Oh, yes. I think this is our evidence. Yeah, crime photo 2, no. This is just pictures, and then the bottle. Grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon. Mr. Wright's prints on it are upside down. Caused 2 a.m. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. So that's with the bottle. We also have the victim's hand. Oh wait, we already checked that. But yep, right cell phone. Definitely. Let me show you guys. So when you press Y, it'll show up like this. And it'll say take that, whether you want to say that or not. Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Bourse Bowl Club. So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Oh, what the heck?
The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant.
Uh-oh. This is cool music. Showdown time. You dirty cheat. Check his pockets now. It's gone. The card's gone. You lose.
Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to Wright, and he hit me.
What? You some master of cheating you turned out to be.
When I came to,
The victim was already dead, is that it?
that's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure.
Well, where does this leave us?
Madness, this is madness. I'm dreaming. It must have been me who was hit with the bottle, and I'm imagining all this.
It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events?
Mr. Gavin, sir, I believe that, as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss Orley a big fat liar.
What?
We were in that room the night of the murder, the defendant, the victim, and her, and she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled. The witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith, and the denouement of that argument was murder.
What? I'm no killer. It's a trap. Someone's trying to frame me.
Oh. What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled we catch ourselves in the process.
Mr. Wright,
Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility, that there was another person in the room at the time of the murder? Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder, and the one who swapped the card didn't know two colors of cards were being used. A fourth person. Ha, this theory again. Your fourth person doesn't exist. Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there is no escape and no chance for deception, the perfect place to catch the real criminal.
The real criminal?
And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us, and right at the beginning of the trial, no less. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about? Sorry. Remember what I said? The fourth person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color on the backs of the cards. Right, but how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there is one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Oh, yeah. Who was that? Was it Payne or was it Christoph? Yeah, I had that impression too, but why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? It's not me, I swear.
Who is this fourth person?
Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? So we have Christoph, Phoenix Wright, Shady Smith, who's dead, Olga Orley, who we've already talked to, and she was already there, Payne's the prosecutor. The only other person on here, as you guys can see, is Christoph. So, all right, take that! As I expected, your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right? Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. But of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table. But look, you can see the colors in this photo. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim, yet it was only that, a game in the purest sense, a competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know in its final outcome. Ooh, boy. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Gavin, is something the matter?
No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden. Right, you aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph, you know even I never take a joke this far. Oh my god. This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder. I assure you I'm quite sane. But what possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim? I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either. Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met. Well, what if they have? Huh? There is a possibility after all. They may have met that night before the game started.
What are you suggesting?
Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin, testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related?
I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin.
As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss Orley...
Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you.
Oh, okay.
Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony?
Yes. This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was playing this all along, and I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. Act 2, Justice? You would betray me, your teacher? I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin, this isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth.
Very well, the defendant. Mr. Wright will take the stand, please.
Alright, appetite before murder. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Boat Club the night of the murder.
I dine with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder.
Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him.
You were planning this all along, weren't you?
Right.
Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial.
The only thing I want is the truth, as I did back then, and now.
I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong.
Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
Justice?
Sir?
He's lying, and you're going to expose him.
Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial?
Holy crap.
Alright, here we go. Hold it! You had dinner with Mr. Gavin. Yes, he dined with me at the Borscht Boat Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot, as usual. I always eat at the table closest to the piano.
I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting.
So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner.
Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours and Kristoff left. After that... Hold it! Hold it! I said that wrong, I don't know why. 5 minutes, so the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure.
Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shady Smith may have met.
I believe I did say that.
Here I was all nervous about this meeting, and now we hear they just passed in the hall?
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder.
Oh, it would be, if that was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? Hold it! About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Miss Olga Orley mentioned.
The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut.
You swapped the cards.
Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Yes, a harmless prank in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle.
An empty bottle of grape juice?
The murder weapon? Oh. Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see.
A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama.
A card inside the murder weapon? That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look.
Mr. Wright, the poker head of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information.
Okay, so do we want to look at the I guess we'll press hold it. Can I check this now? Okay, so we'll examine all around until we find something. Grape juice. How long has it been since I drank grape juice? Apparently it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht. Alright, so let's see if we can rotate to the back here. Anything on the back here? The bottle is completely empty. Okay. Oh, that's weird. I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see. I knew it was coming.
Oh, so you struck first. I like that.
I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. At least when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. Okay, so I think that we gotta present the bottle in the last one. Since the card is in there. Objection! Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle and I don't see any card in here. No?
Well, Mr. Wright, surely... ... isn't all you have to say for yourself.
I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh?
Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out. Oh, and a sixth person could have helped.
Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client.
My apologies, Your Honor.
I wouldn't have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear?
In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence.
Oh.
Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO.
Why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? Alright, so we've already presented those stuff. Oops, sorry. Press on this one. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at that time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. Oops. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut in his forehead. Wait a second, I want to look at that picture again. Okay, it was on his forehead. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Sub-basement of the Borscht Pool Club. But wait, his hat is covering his head. So how could Phoenix see his forehead? That doesn't make sense at all. Objection! Glad I checked that. Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Oh boy. Justice. Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it.
Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court?
I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh?
You put the hat on the dead man's head?
He wore it through our entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view, shining bright, just like in his photograph.
And?
I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So Miss Orley didn't see it. It being the victim's, his head. I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through his case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin? This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. He lost his attorney's badge? Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Christoph. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Eh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well.
A reason?
That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with Defense Attorney Gavin after calling the police, just in case I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Christoph, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him, hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please, the cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that? Okay. Bone china plate. A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny, and not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead.
The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead.
Wait a second, something's not right about that phone call. So after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bull Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china pate?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene, and when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court? Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin. It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright?
Holy crap. Order, I will have order. Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear Defense Attorney Gavin's testimony?
Well, as the prosecutor,
Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes, after which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for our cross-examination. Are we all clear on that?
Crystal clear, Your Honor.
Very well. This will be the final recess for the day.
Oh, man. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? Oh, who's this? Huh? What?
Hello, sir. Please pick a card.
What's all this about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it.
A trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all.
What? What? An ace, where do I remember that card from?
Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces and Mr. Wright's 2. It has 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
The missing 5th ace. Wait, this blotch of red. Is this blood? Oh my god.
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the...
It sounds like Olga.
Now it's up to you and cut the deck and draw the truth.
I don't think Maya's gonna be in this game, so I'll go with her voice.
My father's freezing my hands. I know you can do it.
Oh, maybe I can do Maggie Bird for her. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth. Who the heck was that? She's on the front of the box. I don't know who she is, though. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. Oh, is that Phoenix Wright's daughter? Oh, it is. That's totally her. Holy cow. I didn't think we'd actually get to meet her in this game.
Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, will you please take the stand? Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Will the witness state his name and occupation? Is this false needed necessary, Your Honor?
Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom.
Fine, I'll play along.
First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat?
By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's standing next to us. I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. Oh, they're playing the music! Mr. Wright, what do you think you're doing, Wright? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit.
Oh, Mr. Wright.
When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to be at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime. In other words, you have to be the real killer, is what you're trying to say. Not bad, Apollo. Oh, that was awesome.
Mr. Gavin.
I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court.
What?
Oh, I assure you I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet I'm afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night.
Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night?
That was awesome what we just did there with the Phoenix Wright classic objection music. Let's go. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window of the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald head and an unconscious girl in Wright, holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that it was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. That was a long testimony. So you witnessed the murder? For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the dead.
Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client.
Disadvantageous. Thank you. What else can I say? I'm standing on the witness stand, after all.
So you are Mr. Gavin.
And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright, you had to say that, because that was the only probable window of opportunity, right, Apollo?
Oh. Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared?
Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder.
Holy cow, this is insane. Let's go.
Hold it! That man, you mean Mr. Smith? He was different from the other customers, his aura, shall we say. I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that.
So then you knew the true nature of your client's job?
Of course, but I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal.
Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends after all.
Worried for my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle an old score. Alright, just in case. Oh no, I don't want to quit though. Alright, I guess not.
I see what happened then.
I can save regularly. Hold it! The little window. You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The black marketeers used it, I believe.
Why'd you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window?
Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Wright, you see.
Upset Mr. Wright?
Yes, what if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form to say the least.
So far everything you say makes sense.
Hold it!
How do you know it was right after the murder?
Really, no need to shout, Justice.
Ugh.
I was just getting to that part of my testimony.
Ah, there he is, the coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change.
I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours.
With friends like these, who needs enemies?
Hold it! Hold it!
Hold up! By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene.
Precisely. You see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead.
And then Mr. Wright came along and replaced his hat.
Can you describe the scene of the crime for us?
Hold it! Those were the only three at the scene of the crime?
Yes, as far as I saw at least.
And we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime.
Justice, I just said I saw no one, not a soul.
But that goes against what Mr. Wright said.
Ah, yes, this mysterious fourth person, who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose.
Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin.
Let me pose a question then. Tell me,
What possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us the reason why such a thing would be necessary?
How can I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace. Oh, that's what we gotta present. The ace that Phoenix Wright's daughter gave to us. The 5th ace, right.
Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason?
I think so. It's now or never. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out.
Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace?
I think we gotta present the bloody ace. Perceived from a mysterious scroll, could this be the missing 5th ace? Take that! Take that! My reason is, this.
Is that an ace?
Why? It's got blood on it. Right next to the spade.
What?
This is insane. Why wasn't I told about this? Why?
Could this be the missing 5th ace?
Oh, man. Inconceivable, how could you? What are you doing with that card? Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl. Oh, that card, it's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Porch Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are stock and trade after all. No, impossible, unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime.
Where are you going with this?
Take another look at the photo and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Aha! Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose the killer then took the card to hide the blood. Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible.
Oh?
Right, regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence.
Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken the card from the crime scene, and now I've told you that one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see? This is baseless conjecture, baseless. Oh yeah. Go, Mr. Wright. Boom! Oh, I assure you it's quite based. What? It's amazing, really. How a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. Whoa. Whoa, a full-on animated scene here. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table, and before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in a victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with the scene.
Well, what is it?
Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on a card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses? Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? Position doesn't fit with the bloody card. Well, wouldn't it be the one closest to the door, which is the victim? Witness is right there. So Phoenix was sitting here, Smith was sitting here, and Olga was sitting here. And I think Gavin, so yeah, I'm pretty sure maybe Gavin was like somewhere over here in this area. So it would be the guy closest to the door, and it doesn't fit with it because he's the one that's closest to the door, which would lead to the fact that it doesn't fit with the actual card itself. Take that! Wasn't it the victim's position that's the problem?
I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice.
Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. You'd think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him.
Ah.
Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards.
Why, that's right. So what does this mean?
Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh man. Apollo, try turning the chair around.
Whoa, what?
Rotate. How do I... Oh! That was cool.
The chair was facing the other way.
It would have to be. This is cool. So we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. But why? That's what I don't get.
When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing?
When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know now the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction. Again? Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, or the second witnesses? Whose location creates a contradiction of the victim was facing away? It would be the killer, because how would he reach over that far to where the victim was sitting? And we already chose the victim, so it's not going to be him, so I'm gonna say it's the killer. The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front?
Shabuski.
Sitting where his indicator currently is, I would think it'd be quite hard, yes. Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of the game? I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light. What? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. What? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Is it in the kitchen area? Don't worry, let's think it through and see what we find. We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? Well, he would have to be on this, like, kitchen refrigerator thing. That would be really weird, but he'd have to be standing in front of him, and that's the only way he could kill him from the front. The killer had to be standing, well, here. You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. I thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard, or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? Heh. It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that at the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know. At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there.
What's this now?
I mean, that's the only explanation. Right, Mr. Gavin. Right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately.
Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard.
Your Honor?
What?
There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff.
Yes. I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright.
I do my best. All right. But let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here. Which means, Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Okay. Let's move it. Okay, we can move it to the left here. Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been as shown here. Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my. What's this?
What is it now?
Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Huh? Oh dang. It blocks the door off for Gavin. Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion.
Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? Which indicator in this diagram contradicts what we know about the crime?
It's the second witness because it blocks the door off for him. Take that! About this cupboard. Are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs, so you couldn't look through it. Oh, it's not a door, it's a window, sorry. Ah, that's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What? What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Ugh, don't expect him to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court exactly where did you witness the crime scene from?
Excuse me, Your Honor. Order. This is a court of law and I will have order. We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borscht Bowl Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there is a secret passage behind... What?
Holy crap. Ah, yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. Never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room is a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. Holy crap, that's the game. I did not expect that whatsoever. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin, come on, say something.
Dare I ask what really happened that night?
Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Ah! Ah! I don't know if that was the girl or not. Wait, why did you do that? Wait here, I'll get help. I don't know who's talking. Miss Olga Orley was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look and... After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. And the fact that they were all red. Oh my gosh.
Well, it seems his trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin, but I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Oh boy. Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick.
Excuse me?
The defendant is cleared of all suspicion. This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney.
Illegal evidence?
Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin, is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course. This bottle, for instance. the bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking.
How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down. I seem to recall this being an issue earlier.
The court in this case demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down, and that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor? See how the caught fish squirms to the last? Well, Apollo?
Yes? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still, but I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation, just like that. Yeah, just like what? Just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there. In plain sight. How about you just say the answer in plain words?
It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions, indeed. Well, Mr. Justice?
Mr. Gavin said that the court in this case demanded an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice is done.
Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court? What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints on the bottle are upside down?
So it can't be the bottle, since that's what we're talking about. Bloody ace. Victim's hand was left at the scene. Chip photo. Doesn't say anything. Olga's photo. It's not Wright's cell phone. Not the crime photo either. It's got to be something. It's got to be a picture with the bottles in it. So it's not that one. Is it this? Because I see bottles in this picture. And by the fingerprints of the bottle upside down. Because he grabbed one out of the box, I guess? I don't know. I'm so confused now. Alright, let's go for it. Take that! It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair.
Excuse me? On the floor?
Yes, now reach down and pick it up, without getting out of your chair. See? You actually go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers, upside down. Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times.
Wow, I can't believe it was that simple.
Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up on one of the bottles from under the piano, and you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. And that's how it had his fingerprints on it.
Order. What do you have to say to these charges, Mr. Gavin?
Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection.
What? You claim that I switched the bottle. Where is your proof? Proof? Well, that's,
as I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation?
Ah, yes. I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question.
What are you going to dust that for? Are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if anywhere on that his.
Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake, true. That bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo.
Yes?
Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? But why? Just humor me. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all. What? That's some bottle. Alright. So let's... Okay, so we've already seen the grape juice part. Here, I'll pull it down here. We can rotate it to the back.
Oh, there's the card in there. Look at that. Oh my God. There's something inside the bottle. Took that off. And boom, there's the card. What's this? That card, it can't be.
Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga Orley? Yes, our little swindling debauchka.
That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in this piece of testimony? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. And that's how it's done. The five of hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped, and the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is going on? Oh my God, her plates were floating. That is all. Oh my God. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright?
Revenge?
Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago. My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right? This is insane. What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? No, because you're an idiot.
I believe this time we've finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he?
None that we know of.
Mr. Wright, have you anything to add?
I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter.
About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good. Mr. Wright?
Yes?
7 years, and you still haven't lost your touch.
Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer.
He was extremely talented, to be sure.
I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo.
Me?
A dark time is coming for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought on by our very own court system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright. Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it.
Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright,
not guilty, and we beat the first case of Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Sweet.
Court is adjourned.
My favorite 3 words in the Phoenix Wright games. Alright. I love the music. Thanks, Apollo. You came through just like I thought you would. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Ability? Yes, a sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough. Yeah, that was friggin' cool. What the heck was that? We perceived? That was cool. Wait, I wonder if he means... I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true. What's this weird vibe I'm getting? What was that, Mr. Wright? You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer, right. Today was full of questions without answers, most of them about Mr. Gavin. What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Huh? Oh, that reminds me, I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Your daughter, right? That's right, she's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Eh? So I just want to see really quickly how old Phoenix Wright is right now. He's 33, so this is 7 years. So he was 26, I think? If my math is right in the last game? I don't know. Eh? I took this off his neck the night he died, but it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is this locket really did belong to him. Wait, but that's perjury. You testified. You said that locket was yours. I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it? Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work for Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo? Yes? How about coming to work for me? Eh? You mean at the Wright & Co. law offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. I can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but you're not a... Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. That incident 7 years ago, that legendary trial. And at the middle of it all was one man, Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion and he left law for good. What the heck happened? Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence. Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence. Well, we already mentioned it already. It was the bloody ace of spades. Take that! You already said it was the forged one. You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter. Mr. Wright? Yes, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left, leaving the wrong card in its place, luckily for us. The court can accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. Then you really? Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney. Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo? So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago. None of that matters much now, does it? Ugh. Ugh. I punched him. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling "take that" next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time. That was weird. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved, and at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. Boom! That's chapter 1. That's episode 1, I should say. Wow, that was awesome. I really like that a lot. A brand new episode has been added, Turnabout Corner. And we are going to save our game at this point. And let's check out the picture for the episode. Oh, they don't have one. Oh. Alright, so in the next part, we will head into episode 2, Turnabout Corner. It's definitely an interesting new way in the Ace Attorney games. That perceiving was a new feature, and I'm glad when they add new features to the Ace Attorney games because they definitely make the game much cooler than it already is. So yeah, it's a very good game. I can't wait to play the next case. So, and maybe I hope that one of these episodes in this game will find out what happened to Phoenix Wright 7 years ago. I'm pretty sure they will do that. I mean, they can't just leave the players, on suspicion. So yeah. Thanks everybody for watching today's part for Apollo Justice Ace Attorney on the Nintendo DS. I'm the Zachman18, and as always, I will see you guys in my next video, coming soon. Objection!